Get out of here. I wanted to do a stream with you guys on Restore the SnyderVerse, Free Palestine, the future. This is an impromptu stream that's happening as we speak. I'm very busy. I have a lot of supplies out here. This is my LIV products. I got some nuts that I gotta go and package. I got inside this bag here. I've got granola, LIV granola. This is granola, chocolate and mint. I have granola and raisins. We have the Independence celebrations tomorrow, so I'm in gear, getting ready for all of that. I got my LIV drinks here, small and big level drinks outside the refrigerator there, and some more supplies. So we're really working at it. I got to go out the road and do what I got to do. But I said I would spend a little time with you guys, doing this stream with you guys before I get out of here and do what I have to do with my day. But we are on the move. All praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. Everything we do and say. So I'm here just spending about 5 minutes with you guys, talking about Restore the SnyderVerse a little bit, about Free Palestine. As we all know, a genocide is happening in Palestine. A genocide is happening in Gaza. I would suggest that more and more of you open up your voices and make your voices clear and heard all over the world. Keep on standing for it. Don't buy products that come from Israel. Don't support countries that are supporting Israel right now. Of course, we also have individual problems inside of individual countries, mine inclusive. You know, there's so many things that are going on in the world today. Human trafficking is a big thing. Children and women are being kidnapped and moved all around the world. And organizations like the Vatican, like Kabbalah, Jewish people, like Freemasonry, all of these organizations, these secret societies and lodges, all these occultic societies, they are responsible for why these things are happening. The drug trade, human trafficking, you know, you name it, they are responsible for it. And some of the organizations we think are supposed to uphold and keep law and order in a country, these organizations are actually participants in it, and they're the ones fueling this. Also, something that you guys need to understand is your food is being contaminated with toxins and poisons. So it's better if you can grow your own food, or if you can, you try to get from farmers and people who are using, they talk about organic foods, but really and truly, you just have to grow your own food sometimes. You know, in my country, a lot of the food, the preservatives that are in the foods are carcinogenic, and that's why a lot of people have cancer. Lots of people have also diabetes and hypertension. And these things are as a result of some of the foods we eat. It's also some of the electromagnetic, things, the 5G networks and so on that also interfere with our electromagnetic fields that can make us sick. Of course, people say air conditioning is the best thing in the world, but it's recycled air. Let's cool down. It's better you breathe fresh air. Better you go outdoors and breathe fresh air. So there's a lot of stuff out there. You know, prostate cancer is as a result of improper lifestyles. Of course, it's also as a result of bad social habits. You know, a lot of people now are involved in online pornography in terms of watching pornographic content, and a lot of people are getting sick because of that. So there's so many different things. There's also, they mess with our minds. There's so many things that they do out here, and you guys need to be aware of this. A lot of programming is going around, whether it's in terms of advertisements and advertising, that they use subliminal messages to get to us, or whether it is through entertainment, sports, movies, whatever. So you guys need to be conscientious and aware of these things, and you need to be able to select as a consumer and also as a person who's living in this world what you want to consume and what you don't want to consume. I say this because everything in this life is sort of interconnected in different ways, and it's very important and imperative that you understand what is going on, both on a spiritual level, both on a physical level, on the emotional level, and on a mental level. It's very important that you're aware of these things. So I just thought I'd put that out there before I go and precursor with Restore the Snyder. Now, what makes the Snyderverse so good? Besides, its financial, additives to it, is I always thought that the Snyderverse was very spiritual. That's to say, I saw spiritual themes sort of articulated on a screen, and I thought that was always a benefit to each and every one. I was just watching at a guy who reads comic books and stuff saying that Superman is not necessarily a symbol of hope, and he went on to say, Superman was the guy that used to get things done and so on. And he's a source of inspiration. But if you're a source of inspiration, then you're a source of hope, because hope simply means something good coming out ultimately in the end, not necessarily that, or that's why you look forward to something good happening. And it doesn't really matter your present circumstance. For example, your present circumstance, you may be very ill, you may be very sick, but you're looking forward to getting healed. That's being hopeful that you get healed, right? So, being a catalyst for that or being an inspiration for that is being a symbol of hope. So I disagreed with him on that. And plus, I think Man of Steel actually said that. Jarrell said to him, the symbol of the House of Hell is hope. And it's a fundamental belief in every person being a force for good. Um, Now, having said all that, I think hope is a spiritual thing. It's not something you can see, taste, touch, or feel. And therefore, that's what I like about what Zack Snyder emphasizes on. Unlike other comic book movies, he articulates ideas, and he articulates virtues, and he articulates values. And I think that's all these things I just said there: ideas, virtues, and values are all spiritual things. You can't see them, they're invisible. Spiritual means invisible. So the mind is spiritual, for example. Mind, you can't see a mind. Now, having said all of that, I think that that is the plus that separates Zack Snyder's DC from other kinds of DC. Other kinds of DC don't articulate that. One, two. Other kinds of DC, or even other kinds of comic book movies. I think the only comic book movie that sort of started to articulate something like that was the Unbreakable series, the three movies in Unbreakable, which really show, but it's more about faith and it's more about possibilities that show, that there's possibility that we are superheroes, that each human being has a superhuman potential. It's actually natural, but we call it supernatural because it's not a very common thing to see us manifest, and that's because actually, in truth and in nature, there's an invisible side to us. There's a spiritual side to us, and the spiritual side to us can be defined very simply in terms of physics. It's your electromagnetic field that you give off. Your electromagnetic fields are not visible. You have to actually use something to see them. Um, and all of us are electromagnetic beings. And this is the thing that we don't talk much about and we don't really explore much about, whether it's in medicine, whether it's in social interactions, etc. We have a spiritual element to us, which is our electromagnetic fields. And depending on how intense that electromagnetic field vibrates, it determines exactly how much people are attracted to you, repelled from you, things that can be influenced and actually changed in environments because of you, because you're realigning other electromagnetic fields. For example, if you have a big magnet and there's smaller magnets around, the magnets that are attracted to it, they are rapidly attracted to it. The magnets that are repelled from it are rapidly repelled from it, showing you that it has a tremendous impact on its surroundings. So the more intense the electromagnetic field, the greater the impact around your surroundings. Some people call it your aura. Some people call it your energy. Either way, that is a real thing. Now, when I communicate with you guys, you see a physical image communicating to you, but what you have to understand is there's also an electromagnetic impact I'm having on you. And that impact can actually be felt by you. The more intense the impact is, the more intense you feel it. And the feelings influence your endorphins, emotional, yeah, amygdala, and therefore your emotional elements of yourself. It impacts your electromagnetic field first, and then it impacts, of course, your chemical reactions and connections you have that precipitate into emotion and also into action. And you'll either be repelled by this conversation or you will be attracted to it and come to it, and you will actually want to engage with me. We talk about male female interactions. Male female interactions, or what we call attractions, also are as a result of interpretation of electromagnetic signals and also as a result of electromagnetic fields. Add to that the chemical component, which is with pheromones, etc., which can be, we're so sensitive, we can detect pheromones from as far away as half a mile, which is weird because we don't sensitize ourselves to that. And then we also cloud our pheromones with other things like perfumes and roll-ons and all these things. But we naturally can detect pheromones, which can go travel very far distances. So we have a chemical component to ourselves. We have an electromagnetic component to ourselves, which are not explored to that degree. And usually pheromones are hormones, and we are hormonal beings. And hormones actually determine our emotional states. But we don't talk about this. We don't talk about how we are as human beings, how these spiritual things are actually very real things, right? Now, you can see pheromones, you can see, because they're chemicals, you can see hormones, for example, they're chemicals. Having said that, though, for me to just look at you, or you looking at me right now, you're watching me right now in the stream, and you do not realize how much I'm impacting you, because it depends on my mental state that I'm in, my appearance that you see, a digital image that has been transferred electromagnetically, and also not just that, but also, hello, Janvir. Did you like Zack's Snyder's Justice League? Absolutely, Janvir. Now, notice if you guys are watching at the comment that Janvir made, how was I able to understand Janvir? Because Janvir didn't write in perfect English. He actually put "did H like Zack Sunder Justice League." How was I able to interpret what he said and say, "Did you like Zack Snyder's Justice League?" How was I able to do that? The human mind is able to interpret chemical symbols. And because we know we are doing a communication, I am able to interpret what he is saying to me. This is all because of a connection. And even though it doesn't look like I have a connection, by the way, he has an infinity symbol there. He has like a multiple infinity symbol there. That's a very interesting thing, Mr. Janvir. But what I'm saying to you is that you have to understand this is not an intellectual discussion. As much as it seems like an intellectual discussion, this is far beyond that. If you are watching my facial expressions and how I'm speaking to you, you would know that I'm not just speaking to you from an intellectual perspective, but actually from a spiritual and emotive perspective, which is why I look the way I do. Now, with respect to Zack Snyder's Justice League, there are several different spiritual things Zack is actually teaching us that visually he's showing us. He's not saying it to us, he's visually showing us certain spiritual things. My name is Jeff. James Gunn's Superman is nice. Okay, I'm glad you appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it. So the SnyderVerse, Jawad Imad says, hi. Hi, Jawad Imad. How are you today, my friend? So that's something about the SnyderVerse that I think a lot of people don't necessarily grasp these intangible elements. And I tried to articulate it in such a manner that you would understand these are real things, that each and every one of you, in some way, shape, or form, can be a superhero, like actually manifest powers, which is what Unbreakable was kind of talking about, and that you do actually effect and actually manifest powers at certain points in time. And we'll talk about that maybe some other time. It's a real thing. That's what I'm trying to say to you, that all of you have the potential, not just for hope and for potential to do good, but also to impact the world in tremendous ways that you do not realize. I will say this to you. Janvir said, do you like the Flash movie from 2023? I actually didn't watch the Flash movie from 2023, Janvir, and the reason I did not watch it is because I was not interested in it. I'm more a person who likes to look at things which have, in my opinion, I know the Flash movie probably has some sort of value to it, but something that goes a little deeper than what these movies are portraying. The Flash movie and Superman 2025 and Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle and Shazam 2, Wonder Woman 84, The Suicide Squad. I don't really like superficial movies. I like things that show where something is possible and things that actually are real and you don't realize that they're real. And I know this because from my Christian background, I have manifested certain things and I know. For example, I've been able to go for 40 days without eating anything and drinking water. I basically took baths and that's how I got water in my body. I was able to pray for people and they would get healed of their illnesses. I was able to manifest without speaking, uh, 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 um, uh, basically communicate with people without saying a single word. Not telepathy now, just by looking at them, they know what I am saying. They understand me. So I've been down that road. When I saw Man of Steel, for example, so that you will understand where I'm coming from. Um, I was at a point where I was trying to understand what my purpose was as a believer. I don't know what your persuasion is, or how you see the world, but for you to kind of understand what I'm saying, I found out that we have a lot more power than we think, and that we have been programmed to think we don't have power, but we actually do have power. This movement, Restore the SnyderVerse, why I believe it's going to be successful and it's going to happen is because I understand a little bit about faith. And faith is a thing. I don't know if ever been, you ever believe something so strongly that would happen that you actually saw it in the future happening. It's called visualization. I'll give you an example. The university that I went to eventually it was to do medicine. Uh, I saw that movie and I saw that university in a dream. I dreamt it first. See, so when Zack Snyder, for instance, goes into dreams and he shows you dreams and Batman's dreams and all these dreams, I've actually had something like that happen to me. So these things are spiritual things, you understand? And it's interesting that he used a comic book movie to show this. And of course, this is prevalent in comic books as well. People dreaming and stuff like that. My name is Jeff said, do you want the Snyder? Yes, I do want the Snyderverse restored, and I do want Snyder to finish his movies, and I would like to see offshoot movies off the Snyderverse, and it doesn't have to end the Gunverse or the DCU, as you guys call it. I'm not really interested in that. I'm just interested in pursuing this to see it to its end. Jawad Imad says, have you watched Amanda Hug and Kiss? I've never heard of that. Never heard of that, actually. What's that about? Jawad Imad. Jan Veer says, Justice League 2007 ruined everything. I think that Justice League 2007 was done by someone who is a Wiccan. Josh Whedon is a Wiccan. And so what you saw was actually his twist on Justice League to bring in Wiccan elements. And for those of you who don't know what a Wiccan is someone who believes in forces and elements of nature that can be manipulated. Okay. Penguin says, can anyone just love both Snyderverse and DCU? I don't understand. You can love what you love. I'm not against you. Whatever you love, you love. I'm not going to bash you. And I try my best not to bash what other people love, to be honest with you. But I'm going to be honest with you as well. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to come from facts. I'm going to tell you what I think the studio did that was very wrong. The studio has been trying to be like Marvel. And I just think that that's just not the right way to go. I think DC should be DC. But Penguin, I don't. If you listen, my friend, I want you to understand something. And you must understand this very well. Because you have power and you don't understand what you have, but it's okay. You can love what you love. And whether other people don't like it, they can go shove it. Okay? You love what you love. That's who you are. And don't apologize for that. Okay? Never apologize for that. Now, I don't personally love the DCU. I don't personally love the DCEU that was Marvelized. I never loved those things. Okay? But that's me. I'm not you. You're you. I'm me. Okay? Don't expect me to love everything you love. And by extension, don't expect I don't expect you to love everything I love. But if we do overlap in that respect, it means we have a common interest in things. You see what I'm saying? But I also have to be honest. If James Gunn's Superman has flopped, it has flopped. I have to be honest. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie and sugarcoat it and tell untruths. I'm not going to do that. That's the one thing I'm not going to do. You got it? You can love what you love, and you better damn well love what you love. Don't change what you love for somebody else. You are you, and you are unique, and that's what makes this world fun. I don't want you to be like me. Be yourself. Okay? Good. So we're clear on that. So when I speak on things, and if it's something that you love and you find that I'm not, as enthusiastic as you are about it, I'm a different person to you. So that's my thing. That's my thing, right? If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's okay. We're human beings. We're not going to see everything eye to eye, and it's okay. Python 212 Gaming says, dude, just give up. Peacemaker retcon the DCEU. I'm never going to give up, my friend. You're talking to the wrong guy. You're talking to the wrong person. No fault of yours. Hey, I love you. I personally love you as a human being, but that's just not in me. It's just not in me. I'm sorry. That's something I can't do. You see? I've given up on many other things in my life, but there's some things I just don't give up on, and I put it aside and I come back to it. And that's just not a part of me, you see? And there's nothing wrong with that because that's who I am. You're somebody else. But I want to show you something about yourself you need to know. If you rock with what you love and you believe in what you love, that's a powerful thing. Love is a very powerful thing. And it's a spiritual thing, right? It's not visible. And it causes you to vibrate with a frequency so powerful. It can impact a lot of people. I always tell people what you're passionate about and what you love, go with that. That is what changes your surroundings. That's what changes the world. And the more positive you are, and the more hopeful you are, and the more stronger you're passionate about whatever you're passionate about, that makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. I'm passionate about Restore the SnyderVerse. It's a flame that burns within me so strong that it's very hard for anyone to quench it. And that's why you're here. And that's why I'm able to influence you in a different way, though. Not in a way in which I'm trying to tear you down, but I'm trying to build you up. I'm trying to get you to get in touch with what your passion is so you can burn with a very strong flame and you can impact the whole world. That's the whole point behind it. Okay? So when people tell you you can't do something, if you believe them, you won't. But if you don't believe them, you'll do great things. Penguin says, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, Penguin. Hey, never let anybody tell you what you love you shouldn't love. Don't let nobody do that. That's a passion. That's a flame inside of you. And the people who help you to burn that flame stronger, stick around them. Reginald Spidercraft says, not gonna lie, DCEU Nightmare Universe looked cool, but Snyder was ass. Okay, that's your opinion. There's nothing wrong with that. That's your opinion. Me, I love Zack Snyder's direction on films. I like what he brings out on films. That's why I'm even speaking to you now, because he embellished something inside of me that this is what I like to do. I like to encourage people. And I like to help people like Superman. But at the same time, I don't care what you call me or you say me. I'm like Batman in that respect. I can give a fuck. You can say whatever. I don't care. So I'm kind of like Batman and a little bit like Superman. I'm also like Cyborg. I'm still discovering, and I hope you're still discovering what you can do, your potential. how much you can do. So I decided to take this little time out. I am sorry I can't address everybody here. Arsenal play 8825 says, bro, the DCU is already better, bro. I mean, no disrespect, but genuinely. Why? Well, let me ask. Do you fuck with the DCU? I told you I don't. I don't fuck with it. I don't like it. That's not my thing. That's your thing. You like it? Good. Go with that. Go with that passion. Right? You don't need to bash me. I don't need to like what you like. Right? I'm a different guy to you. And that's okay. That's great, because what you like can overlap with what I like at some point in time, and we could burn with twice the flame that we had before. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with liking things. It's when you start hating things that are good, or trying to be good, aspiring to be good. That's a problem. James Gunn made his best effort at Superman. I can't knock the guy for that. You see what I'm saying? It's his perspective. It's his world. I don't personally like it. That's me. That's my taste in movies. That's not my taste in movies. I don't really like hee ha ha movies. There are movies, comedies and stuff I like, but I don't like movies that try to be funny all the time and stuff like that. I don't like that. I really don't, especially if the jokes don't land for me. I really don't like it. And I don't like the smut that he does all the time. So that's just me. That doesn't mean you don't. That may be your thing. That's what you like. Hey, that's great. Pythor 12 Gaming says, I'm just saying, they're not going back, especially because Ezra Miller ruined any chance of it happening. That's your opinion, my friend. It's only your opinion, though. And this is your reasoning behind it. That's your opinion. In Hollywood, a lot of things are possible, including the Snyder Cut that a lot of people thought was impossible. You see, you have to understand, you can make arguments and points. Faith and hope goes beyond reason to visualization, to seeing the thing happening. So it really doesn't matter what you tell me right now, because my mind's in a certain frame of mind where I know we're heading towards that. And I see more evidence of that. When I see DC struggling to break even in film after film after film, it tells me that it's not optimizing and maximizing on the audience it once had. And the only time I've seen that audience is in the case of Joker, Aquaman, and the SnyderVerse, as well as the Dark Knight trilogy. That's when that audience showed up, right? Not for Joker 2, not for Aquaman 2. The only DC films that sequel did better than the original opening film were the Dark Knight trilogy, Zack Snyder's BVS following Man of Steel, The End. Think about that. Arsenal 825 says, yeah, but this love is dead and one-sided. No. You never say love is dead, my friend. Dead love means there's no love. Arsenal 825 says, the flame is burning in you, but it isn't burning at Warner Brothers. I'm glad. Perfect observation right there. But see, the flame that burns in me is what matters. It's not the flame that burns in Warner Brothers. But it can spread. And it has spread to some people in Warner Brothers. I can tell you that for a fact. But logic and reason, they need to have logic and reason first. And they're now beginning to see, as this thing plays out, that they need to restore the SnyderVerse. They may not get rid of the DCU. I'm never saying that they have to. They don't have to. They actually have a multiverse, so they can have Matt Reeves, the Batman, going. They can have the SnyderVerse going, and they can still have James Gunn DCU. The thing about it is they're realizing, they're going to have to realize, it's a calculation they need to make, that they need to make money. And these movies that they're putting out right now, with respect to DC, are not making money. That's the reality of the situation. So either they're going with Matt Reeves and his Batman series, which actually made them some money, and or they're going with the SnyderVerse to generate money. Because I'm telling you, the more this thing has boiled to a point, because of the conflict between the fans and all this back and forth and stuff, it's become a big thing. And so if the SnyderVerse comes out, it's going to have a tremendous reaction, and it's going to, because of all this back and forth. So you guys actually help us to restore the SnyderVerse, which I am very grateful for, by the way. You guys are wonderful people. Arsenal 825 says, but genuinely, why do you prefer it? Because I prefer serious takes. I prefer serious movies. I prefer movies with depth. I am a spiritual person, so I like when movies are spiritual, those kinds of things. So you're a Snyder fan, not a DC fan. Got it. No, I'm actually a DC fan as well. Yes, I love DC. As I said before, I went and saw Joker, for example. I did go and see Wonder Woman 84, but I didn't particularly like it. I kind of know what movies I would like based on the trailers and movies that I shouldn't go and see because then it'll just ruin me. And I don't want to, I don't like going out and talking bad about movies. I think movies are creations, and creating something is a spiritual thing for me because I myself am a creator. I do music, I create videos, that kind of thing. So I don't really personally enjoy. That's why I don't speak much about James Gunn. I don't speak much about his Superman. I didn't go see it. I spoke a bit. I've done several videos on it, but really, quite frankly, I don't. It doesn't. I don't get great pleasure in speaking about it. Let's put it that way. Okay. But I'm not a Snyder fan per se. I have watched of late some of Snyder's work, like Rebel Moon. I thought the director's cut was better. I've also seen Twilight of the Gods. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Not everything I agree with, but it was pretty good. And I've watched Army of the Dead. So I've been recently following Snyder. Actually, I only started really following Snyder because of Man of Steel. Let me give you my little story so you'll understand. Now, I have watched a lot of DC films. I've watched The Green Lantern. I watched, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Tim Burton's Batman 1989 when it came out. Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Love those two movies. Still, they're two of my favorite Batman movies. I love the Batmobile that Tim Burton designed. I think Tim Burton's one of the greatest directors I've ever seen. He's one of them. I didn't say he's the only one. Christopher Nolan was good. I didn't really like Batman Begins, to be honest with you. It's kind of boring and long. But it did fill in the gaps for Batman, right? And I wasn't a big fan of Batman Forever, and definitely don't like Batman and Robin. Because, again, I like a certain tone of films, okay? Love Constantine. Really wish they can give a sequel to Constantine. Love that movie. And also get the Darkverse going. So I am a DC fan. I grew up watching mostly DC, Batman, the animated series, Superman, the animated series, Justice League Unlimited, all of the animated Justice League movies, Batman Arkham Asylum. I haven't seen The Killing Joke yet, but I have seen Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, but I've also read Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns graphic comic. Also, Death of Superman by Dan Jurgens. I mean, I've read a lot of comics. I've read a lot of comics as well. My uncle had a lot of comics, so back in the 80s and the 90s, I've read a lot of comics. I love X-Men. In Marvel, I like things like X-Men. I love The Blade. What else do I like? And then you have Underworld. I kind of like Underworld, the movie Underworld. I know it's not really a comic book movie, but still. And I also liked Van Helsing. So when you watch the kind of movies I like, they're mostly serious in tone. There are some like Deadpool and the Wolverine. I went and watched that. That was great. I really enjoyed it, and it was funny as hell. And there was a lot of cursing in it, but it was funny, and I really enjoyed it for the meta humor, which is really great. And I really do like Ryan Reynolds. He's great. So when you talk about movies, I generally speaking, if the character lends itself to being comical, sure. I like organic comedy. I like comedy that, let's see. I like stand-up comedy. So, but I like comic book movie. I grew up in a time, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Come on now. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, 1 and 2, but I prefer 1 over 2, is interestingly enough. But I do like the what's the word I'm looking for here? The tragedy of Spider-Man. That's what I like about it. It's very tragic. And again, it's not funny. Arsenal plays that. That's all you got to say, man. Toast says you got to understand they're never reviving the Snyderverse. It was not popular. Well, numbers don't lie, and clearly it did way better than James Gunn's Superman. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman is still the fourth highest grossing DC movie. Toast says also Zack Snyder was terrible with his characters. Again, I just totally disagree, and we don't see eye to eye on that, and it's okay. Toast says he made Batman kill. Obviously, you haven't read Tim Burton. You haven't watched Tim Burton's Batman. Tim Burton's Batman killed from the jump, so that's not anything new. He just didn't commit murder, and Zack Snyder's Batman almost committed murder, but he didn't commit murder either. Toast, which goes against his character. Again, I don't know what character you're talking about. I mean, if you've ever watched Batman in any movie, he's killed. The only movie that Batman hasn't killed in is George Clooney's Batman and Robin. George Clooney's Batman is never killed. But all the other Batman, including Robert Pattinson's Batman, has killed. And that's just how reality is with these things. And Frank Miller's Batman killed. I mean, if you're really going to go into killing, it's almost unrealistic to think that Batman wouldn't kill. Dealing with the kinds of high-powered criminals that he was dealing with and all of these things. It's very difficult. In the very first Tim Burton's Batman, very first Batman story of Batman 1989, he killed the Joker. He killed the Joker. I mean, come on now. So, and Jack Nicholson's performance as the Joker was fantastic, in my opinion. So, it is what it is. Pythor 12 Gaming says the only thing they can do is have the DCU exist as one of the doors in Peacemaker, but they still can't use the Batman, Affleck, or the Flash. Again, I don't see us having to connect the Gunverse with the Snyderverse. We don't need to do that. And again, we don't need a DCEU per se. DCEU is what we called that universe, which is separate from the Snyderverse. When I talk about the Snyderverse, I'm talking about a continuation of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the sequels to it, a Batman movie where Ben Affleck wrote concerning Deathstroke, and Wonder Woman, continuing Wonder Woman around Paradise or whatever. Now, you would say, what then James Gunn might be doing something like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We had the CW that was doing a lot of things ahead of the movies that were there. It doesn't matter. Unless you're an egomaniac, it doesn't matter. Trust me. The more Batman that's on the screen, the more people are happy. And different versions of Batman, that would be great. So once again, and we have different comic book runs, so why not? And the Snyderverse was extremely popular with people. It raked in way more money and it had way more ticket sales. I'm just telling you. And again, for the record, people to understand what the Snyderverse is, it was Man of Steel, BVS. If David Ayer ever gets his cut out, David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and then Zack Snyder's Justice League, which has not seen cinemas yet. That's all the Snyderverse is. Everything else is not the Snyderverse because it don't follow Zack Snyder's vision. Warner Brothers went off on a tangent and started doing other things. All right. So when we talk about the Snyder, that's what we're talking about. Okay. The only thing they can do is have the DCU exist as one of the doors. Okay. Yes. Peacemaker. Yeah. So no, you don't need to connect the Snyderverse with the Gunverse, or what do you call the DCU? We don't need to connect them. They're separate universes. Leave them like that. Gunverse has, has the possibility of a multiverse, and that's cool. And whenever you want to overlap, you want some of Gunn's characters to come across Snyder's characters and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that possibility will lie in the future. But what we're saying is you don't have to start investing any money in the Snyderverse. This is the fun part about it, because Zack Snyder's Justice League never went into cinemas, and Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, never went into cinemas. So those two things are things we've never seen on the big screen worldwide, and that has an allure. And The Man of Steel is a very respected movie out there. A lot of people see it as a masterpiece. So even people who, are gun fans, or want to see another universe. They all admit and respect it, including directors and a lot of other people out there. So That you put that into cinemas. You put the Snyderverse back into cinemas, the Snyderverse trilogy, that is, and then from there, whatever money you generate, you use that to put out the air cut Wonder Woman with the different ending that it was supposed to have. So there'll be some changes to the air cut. There'll be some changes to Wonder Woman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League with the Green Lantern scene. You throw that in, and those generate money. So that's another time you put out those movies, and then from there you just restore the Snyderverse. You'll have more than enough money, trust me, to finish off Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Batman film that Ben Affleck was working on, that's probably an $80 million film to produce, um, which it's a cheap film, because he's not going to be using a lot of special effects and all that sort of stuff, particularly CGI. He's not going to be using a lot of it. It's grounded film, small film. And just like Joker, it could make them over $1 billion. That's a great film again that could happen. And people want it. That's why I keep on speaking about these things, because the actual people asked for it. When you see fans asking for something, you probably should follow up on it. They're asking for the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. I'm not really interested in that, but there's a request for that. There is a request for Constantine 2. There's a request for uh, uh, the Snyderverse to be restored. There's a request for an Amazon film, a follow up to Gal Gadot's Amazon film. I'm not saying that Gal Gadot will return as Wonder Woman, because she's a Zionist and I'm not really going to support her. But I'm just saying that there's all that out there. Python 12 Gaming says, because Ben Affleck doesn't want to associate with DC anymore. Ezra Miller is a convicted criminal. Ezra Miller is not a convicted criminal. That's a lie. He's working in Hollywood as we speak. And Ben Affleck never said that he doesn't want to associate himself with DC anymore. He has a big friggin' Batman suit in his office, in his independent, studio. So obviously he loves Batman, and he's got the most love being Batman. So he's not going to. I mean, if he hears that Zack Snyder is doing, a sequel, oh, he'd be in that bat suit so fast. It's not funny, you know. Python 12 Gaming says, and they probably don't want to use Dwayne Johnson because Black Adam flopped and the stupid win condition in his contract. Let me just say this. I don't see why Dwayne The Rock Johnson can't come back as Black Adam. He's a fantastic looking Black Adam. Um, and, he tried his best to get Henry Cavill back. So I don't see why any of these characters can't come back. I'm talking about, in fact, James Gunn brought back George Clooney in The Flash. It flopped, but he brought him back. So I don't really see that as a problem anymore. And then I'm sure the actors will be. Michael Keaton came back. If the movies are successful, it really doesn't matter. Look, Ryan Reynolds brought back what's his name, Wesley Snipes as Blade, and Ben Affleck's ex-wife as Elektra. So no, it's not impossible. Again, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. This is Hollywood we're talking about. Money talks, bullshit walks, And I'm sure Ben would love to play the role again. He's just, he's down low, but he needs the right conditions. You can't just, Andy Muschietti was a great director to do it with, but just that Andy Muschietti's movie was changed up so much, which is a sad thing. It's a very sad thing. Andy really wanted to give a tribute to all the greats that went before, Superman, etc. But his film got messed up with. And the same thing for James Wan. And James Wan ended up in the hospital because of it. You cannot have a studio that tampers with people. I don't care if they give James Gunn permission to give them notes or whatever. The studio's approach to things, I'm not going to blame James Gunn even. The studio's approach to things is just stupid, That's the problem with that studio. The people who are in charge of things, they're not doing a good job. The only people who are doing a good job are Abdi and DeLuca. They are definitely, hands down. They have the right approach to films. They know what it is to do this thing, and they're doing a pretty good job. Python 12 Gaming says they could use Shazam because people were relative. That's the one guy, Zachary Levi. They should probably recast that character, Shazam. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that's what will happen. But I didn't particularly like Zachary Levi as Shazam, to be honest with you. He seemed like he was forcing everything. He didn't feel organic at all. And I love David Sandberg as the director of Shazam. I do love David Zandberg. If they can bring him back, great. But I don't think they should use Zachary Levi as a Shazam. The kid who played Billy, he was good, but Zachary Levi, he overacts too much, too much. Toast says, and everyone raged on Batman v Superman. Again, I understand people raging on Batman v Superman, especially the theatrical cut. I can see why people raged on it. The people who were talking about the Malta scene, I always thought they were retarded, though. But I can see why they raged on it. The movie was chopped up to shreds. Chopped out a whole 30 minutes of the movie. Same thing with James Gunn's Superman. They chopped out a lot of that movie. That's why it feels schizophrenic. The same thing with Suicide Squad 2016. They chopped out a lot of that movie, so it felt schizophrenic. You should not do directors that. They should at least have a flow to what they're saying. And runtime is going to be shorter, actually. You're going to feel it shorter if you have a smooth flowing movie. When you look at Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, it's a much smoother flowing movie. Whatever your criticisms of it. SW says, WWW. Toast says, I know Tim Burton Batman kills. Yeah, of course it does. Of course it's Batman kills. Hey, guys, man, I spent more than the sufficient amount of time with you guys. I'm going to have to wrap this up. Toast says, I don't like it. WWW. Toast says, he doesn't kill in the Batman. Yes, he does. Toast says, no, he doesn't. Yes, he does. Toast says, Frank Miller's Batman doesn't kill. He laughs out loud. He killed the Joker, and he also killed the mutant that was holding the child and pointed a gun to the child's head. Yes, when you see the animated feature of The Dark Knight Returns, he doesn't kill the mutant there. And he doesn't kill Joker there either. They do the literal stuff. But Frank Miller is implying that he killed both the mutant and also Joker. Joker did not snap his neck. Batman actually snapped Joker's neck. Jack Kent says, I don't care what movies did. Batman doesn't kill. Okay, that's your opinion. I already told you he kills. And it's just what it is. It's what it is. You met him killing. You met him killing in the comics. I don't know what time I don't know how young you are, but you met him killing. I don't know how many of you are born in the 1980s. I was born in the 1970s, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I met Batman killing. Toast says he literally picks up a gun and says, this is the weapon of the enemy. We will not use it. Yes, when he's talking to the mutants, that's because he didn't want them using guns to take over the city, but he used a gun. He was using guns. He actually held a gun in his hand. I mean, come on, his tank has guns on it. I mean, come on. Are we really going to go down this road? Eberjar Brown says, you brain rot. SnyderVerse is dead. No, the SnyderVerse is not dead, my friend. If I want to go see the SnyderVerse right now, I can. It's not dead. Is it being continued? No, but it's not dead. Toast says, how do you not know this? I don't know what you're talking about. Libra Jones says, Gal Gadot cannot act. She's not coming back. At present, I don't want to see her as Wonder Woman. Not because she can't act. She's just really good as an actor. It's because of her stance on Palestine. There's no way you don't care about another set of people, and you can be Wonder Woman. That's not going to happen with me. Your values need to line up with that character. Otherwise, I don't want to see you playing it. Period. Ben Affleck has to stop acting superhero movies. Why? No, of course not. Lieber Joe Brown says Ezra Miller is a criminal. No, he's not. Lieber John Brown says Ray Fisher can't come back. Why not? Of course he can. Python 12 Gaming says Lieber John Brown, Kal El. No. I know what you're talking about too. Kal El. No. It's funny. That's hilarious, by the way. But let me just say, and when she was playing the part of Wonder Woman, I enjoyed it. Okay, and I still enjoy it when I go back and watch the movies. It's just that no, she's not. I don't want her to continue playing Wonder Woman if she's going to be the way she is. Lieber John Brown says DCU is going to cast Henry Cavill for a role. Whatever. Libra John Brown says, Jason Momoa is now Lobo. Yes, I know. Libra John says, Max Lord gave me the stone. You're causing a grave danger. Now you got me laughing, bro. You got me laughing. Hey, y'all need to stop so I can stop this video because y'all are fun to Nisha Rao says West Indians support Israel. Not me. Not me. We Indians support Israel. Some of you Indians support Israel. Some of you do not. I know. I have friends. Libra John Brown says, bro, Gunn has retconned the Justice League. SnyderVerse is dead. SnyderVerse is not dead, my friend. Anytime I want to, I can go watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, 2017, Batman v Superman, Ultimate Edition, and Man of Steel. It's not dead. I can go watch the SnyderVerse anytime I want. Libra John Brown says, you're wasting your time with all these nonsense. Get over it. No, I'm not going to get over it, and I'm not wasting my time. Libra John Brown says, SnyderVerse is not getting restored. That's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. Saul Goodman says, SnyderVerse is never coming back. That's your opinion. I know what I know. Unk, you ain't doing she. That's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. Ego Waffle says, Shorts Live is so strange. I don't know what that is. PC Syrup says, fresh cut, Unk. No, I'm keeping my hair like this. No razor is going to touch my hair. Eagle Waffle says, the DCU is already much better than the Edgy Gravers. And again, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it. So, it was nice talking to you, gun fans. Thanks for showing up to my stream. You're going to realize I'm not your enemy. And I'm not trying to be your enemy, and I never will try to be your enemy. I'm a human being just like you, and on this planet, we need more love in it. So, I hope you guys have a great one. Out of here. I am Christ. I am disciple. I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Restore the SnyderVerse. Free Palestine as well. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Those of you who are campaigning on Free Palestine, please keep on doing it. Your voices are heard. It's not about being popular. It's about being honest, truthful, and telling the truth where it needs to be told, because people's lives depend on it. I'll see you guys later. Peace.